On the track, Tommy Price was a ruthless competitor who, as they say in Speedway, thought nothing of fencing someone, in other words, deliberately running them into the fence, diving in for a low-down inside pass at such an angle that the other guy would come off, not him, if they collided. Off the track, he was something of a gentleman, but he was a loner.
Well, when I first joined Wembley, Van Praag was the captain of Wembley. And he thought he was God Almighty, I think, because, and I think he thought that if he could get rid of me in the '38 World Final, he would get rid of me before the meeting. Well, I had to go up to the gymnasium at the Empire Pool, Wembley. I got onto the table, you know, for the masseur to massage me, etc., for that meeting that night. This is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he got up, he said, we should I want to have a word with you. I said, yes, sure. And went outside, and I didn't know, of course, he was being a bastard. He hit me, knocked me down. Well, if I hadn't had other friends, ice hockey friends, I don't think I'd been talking to you today. He'd have killed me.
No way would Tommy Price come up and give you a bit of information, or Georgie Wilkes, or any of those older boys, no. But Bill Kitchen, he was my mentor. Bill was wonderful. I never really had fun in my Speedway. And I think there are a few riders like me around. And I'm waiting for him to say, you know, wow, and he says, well, fancy letting Jack Parker beat you. And I thought, oh, there were other riders, better riders than me. I mean, you take the people like Jack Young and, I mean, the various riders, they were better riders than me. I mean, I've always admitted that, but I knew if I could get out of the gate, I could beat them.
And just the whole razzmatazz of Wembley, walking out of that tunnel, as any sportsman, footballer or speedway rider would say, walking out the tunnel into that vast arena was quite something special. And funnily enough, a lot of the crowd were brand new to Speedway. I think they'd only be attracted because of the Wembley name and because of the motorcycle sport. They wanted to have a look, and they were very enthusiastic.
Our season began in June, whereas for everybody else it began in March, and I was very deeply envious of anyone who supported another team, because they could go to Speedway 3 months more than I could, you know, and I would read about it in Speedway Star, all the match reports and all the pictures, and Wembley were having away matches, but I was too young to go, and for me the season was a thing that was started in June and finished at the end of September or beginning of October.
Yeah, good. I mean, I'd ridden with Ryder at Edinburgh. He'd come over there at first, and we'd always got on quite well. Although when we had an international, Scotland v Norway at Edinburgh, he did threaten to kill me for some reason or other. But I mean, Ovi was past his very best at the time, but he was still one hell of a good rider. And I had followed Ovi when I was a schoolboy, really, reading Speedway Star or any Speedway magazines. So to ride in the same team as him was quite an honour.
Did the senior Wembley riders accept you there, people like Ryder Ride?
Yeah, Ryder did, got annoyed and did. Ovie Funding didn't like me much, so I used to keep beating him to the corner and running over his legs, and then he used to want to take the best gate all the time. And I can honestly tell you, Trevor Redmond paid me extra to go off the worst gates.
Really?
To keep Ovie happy.
But Ryder was my favourite rider. And then one of those Speedway things happened, which was, you know, all part of the learning curve for me, which was he was assigned to another team for 1971. And suddenly this guy whose name I had up on the wall in my bedroom at home wasn't a Wembley rider anymore. And it was just like, how weird was that? Because Harkins. Great to see a Speedway rider wearing glasses, because I was a glasses wearer myself already at that point. And he was kind of like our Buddy Holly, if you like. Or Hank Marvin, wearing glasses on the track. Brian Collins, Brian Leonard, Tony Clarke, who was a bit of a geezer, I think. Something famous happened to him in 1972 at the World Final, as I seem to recall.
My dad used to take me every week, Thursday, Wembley, number 16. booth 16, right next to the pits it was. He was alright to be in the Speedway, my old man.
Yeah?
But he didn't have the guts.
Really?
Yeah, when I first started doing it, I said to him, I'm going to be a Speedway. You'll never be a Speedway as long as you got hold in your arse. Well, I'll give a go, Dad, anyway.
It was quite a tricky track. The straights were quite long, and the two corners were different shapes, actually, different radius.
It must have been a big honour for you to become Wembley's #1 rider in 1971.
Oh yeah, I was very pleased at that, and I always enjoyed riding at #1 because some riders don't like going out in heat 1, but I always preferred that because you got the feel of the track straight away.
The fact that on a weekly basis racing was taking place in a national stadium was, I think, very significant for the sport, and I think it clearly did British Speedway a great service. It was a real shot in the arm, if you like, because it was Wembley, and Wembley has an allure, it has a pizzazz about it. So suddenly it became a Saturday night out in London, and it was only a long time later that I realised that other tracks, their home crowds might be 1,000 or 1,500 or maybe 2,000. Wembley was 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 for a league meeting. I think it was something like 30,000 people were there for the opening night in 1970. I wasn't there. Hackney Hawks were the opposition. We managed to scrape a win, 41-37. But I just love the idea of 30,000 people going to a Speedway meeting, a league match. I remember once reading that 87,000 people had once been there for a Lions match in the 40s, but this was still like 30,000 people. It's quite fantastic. You'd walk up to the stadium, you'd see the Twin Towers there. You've got all these people outside selling rosettes and programmes and badges. And then you go through the turnstiles and you'd have that amazing thrill of going up and into the arena, which was floodlit, all the lights shining down on the track, which is a magical thing. And you've got the smell of hot dogs and hamburgers, and everyone's in their red and white, their scarves and their rosettes and their badges. And then at 7:30 there's a kind of a hush, and then this happens. Just such a fantastic thrill. All the riders will be marching out. If you were between the fourth bend and the tapes, you really got to see them all, but I always sat on the first bend, so they'd be coming towards me. It was so special. There was a kind of a ceremonial feel about it, you know?
I look back, I was very, very wrong right through my career.
In what way?
Well, because I only thought about me, and very wrong. I used to sign autographs, but it used to be a bit of a nuisance to me. They used to ask me to do this or to go there, and all I was interested in was me and my Speedway. But I do regret it, and like to feel that every time I have a chance now to give something back, but I can't give much back. But I like your good self, I'm quite happy to do anything to help you if it helps Speedway.
Mm. And did you appreciate that the fans? I mean, you had some tremendous following at Wembley as a team, but also you were obviously a big favourite. Did you really appreciate that at the time, or was it only now that you realise how big it was?
No, it was only now. It was strange to me how anybody could sort of jump around and think that I was marvellous. And